It truly is exhausting to be a Dead or Alive fan because no matter how much you show your love and support of this game, that is extremely underappreciated, underrated, doesn't give enough flowers or credit, and what it's done for the fighting game community as a whole and influence fighting games, people just love to crap on it and shame you for liking this series. My goodness, we can't even be excited or happy that a new DOA game is resurrecting the series without people just like trying so hard to already crap on a game that doesn't even exist yet. Already people are mad that DOA is making a comeback and are feeling like, I feel like they're threatened. Like, why can't we just be happy for all fighting games? My goodness. I always get sad when a fighting game doesn't do well. I'm like, oh, I feel bad for that community. Like the Mortal Kombat community. My goodness, Mortal Kombat 1 flopped a little bit, didn't it? But like, that's exactly what happened with DOA 6. So I have empathy for people's games that don't like succeed as what they were expected to, you know, because that's what happened at DOA 6. But now, fast forward 7 years later, we're getting DOA 7. Oh my god, for the 30th anniversary. We're also getting Last Round. And of course, you know, expect more DOA content on this channel and excitement, genuine excitement for a lover of the series, as I'm sure you are as well. But anyway, I thought it'd be fun to make more DOA content, of course. And the most requested video that I put out on my latest poll was the top 10 must-haves of Dead or Alive 7. This list might inspire future videos. I feel like it's only going to scratch the surface of what other videos we can create on this channel regarding Dead or Alive and the future of the series. So make sure you're commenting, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see in a DOA 7 and what other videos you'd like to see regarding DOA on this channel. So let's get on to the top 10 must-haves for Dead or Alive 7. Starting at the top for Dead or Alive 7, I feel like there should be a slight time skip, okay? Not like a decade. Give us like a slight time skip, maybe like 1 or 2 years, similar to what they did for Dead or Alive 5, if you're not aware. The time skip from Dead or Alive 4 to 5. Well, first of all, Dead or Alive 4 and 5, their release was years in between each other, but there was a time skip from 4 to 5 of 2 years. So everyone aged 2 years. I just felt like the time skip just brought on a new era, and I feel like that's what they're trying to do with Dead or Alive 7. It's all about presenting a new era, a new chapter for the series that's been, you know, sleeping for dang near 7 years now. And I think they did phenomenal with Dead or Alive 5, personally. And, you know, fighting games, they really don't like to advance the timeline quite often these days. I think the last time that they did it well was probably Tekken 3, but that was, you know, it worked for Tekken 3. Maybe it didn't really work for Soul Calibur 5, but you know, it's really hard to advance the storylines for fighting games often. But I just feel like a year or two, I just hope that it would give it a more mature, vibrant, fresh atmosphere for the new era, like a DOA 7 game. Okay, so for number 9, I'm gonna say rollback netcode. Okay, so I'm not even the biggest online player myself, but I understand completely that this is a vital component for a fighting game to have legs, to have life within not just a year. I think Dead or Alive 6 only had a year of support, right? Very, very sad. You need rollback netcode for this game. You do. And this is coming from someone who is not the biggest online. I get so burnt out online. Maybe that's because they're, you know, the delay and the connection issues sometimes. You know, maybe that's why I'm not the biggest online. But if you had rollback netcode, this would help the quality of this game so much. It's extremely important because like a lot of people play fighting games for online purposes. Not everyone, but it is a huge it's a huge component to supporting a game for years to come. And I want DOA 7 to be successful. I want it to have legs. I want it to be alive and, you know, properly supported by fans and the devs. And I just feel like this is probably should be higher, but I'm like almost convinced we will get it for Dead or Alive 7. I am worried though, because I've been seeing like it's not confirmed for Dead or Alive 6 Last Round, and that's been getting a lot of criticisms for Last Round. You want your gaming experience online or in general just to be properly supported. You want the quality to exceed expectations. You want your gameplay experience to be as pleasurable as possible, regardless of whether whether you're playing online or not. So this is just something that is a must-have. Coming in 8th place. Okay, so this is probably my hottest take of the video. I think some people might disagree with this, but I don't want there to be crazy customizations. Maybe you won't disagree with this. Maybe you see where I'm coming from as a longtime DOA fan. Okay, I don't want this game to be like Tekken and have crazy customization for their characters. Boo, boo, tomato. I know. Like, it's fun for Tekken. I'm kind of used to it by now in Tekken, having the crazy customizations and making your characters cosplay other characters from other series and whatnot. Okay, like, I do it too, like, trust me. But for Dead or Alive, no. I feel like having so much customization, sometimes it does take away from your characters, like the personality and like the charm of the character's wardrobe is totally like overshadowed by the customizations. Like, we played DOA not for customizations. The only customizations we got were like adding glasses or changing the hairstyle of Lei Feng or Kasumi. You know, just slight little customizations like that are totally something we've grown up on, and I like that. But like, I don't want customization like Tekken and DOA. There's an art to the costumes. There's an art to the wardrobes and the personality, the persona of each character that like should not be disrupted. Like, that's, I know, I'm like, there's gonna be someone who disagrees, but like the wardrobe, the costumes, they should not be. Don't tamper with them. Don't tamper with them. I'm okay. When I play this game, when I play Dead or Alive, I want to see the characters. I want to see those costumes that I either bought or took hours unlocking. You know, I want to see my girls Helena, Kasumi, Tina, Lisa. I don't want to see someone try to cosplay Princess Peach, okay? I don't. Mario, no. That's for Tekken, not for DOA. Oh my god, but also, mind you, there was a whole controversy with DOA 6 with the whole hair color change. First of all, no. Stop changing the hair color. No. We can't have multiple purple hair girlies. That's Ayane. No white hair girlies. That's Christy. Like, there was something so special about, like, girls having unique hair color. Like, you know what I'm saying? I am gatekeeping hair color. I know. I'm very problematic now. But, like, that was also just, like, very, like, that whole DLC situation was just a mess. I never bought it, especially with DO6. I bought little to no DLC aside from, like, the characters that they gave us. The little characters that they gave us, like Rachel and Momiji, but that hair color thing was such a mess, and no. Okay, that brings us to our next topic, number 7, I believe, if I can count. Yeah, DLC. The DLC needs to be actually reasonable. It's kind of crazy though, like, I'm thinking about how DOA 4 was such an amazing game, yet there was like no DLC for that game. Granted, it's an old game. A lot of old games didn't have DLC, but the DLC for DOA 7 needs to be reasonable. I never bought any of the season passes for 5 or 6. I would only buy like either characters or like certain costume packs, because those those season passes were like up to like $90 for some of them. Insane just for like multiple costumes, and multiple costumes that I might not even ever touch for characters. You know, mind you, a lot of us only main, you know, a couple characters in DOA. So sometimes we're not going to be even utilizing all these costumes. What I liked in DOA 6, I don't remember if you could do this in DOA 5, but you could definitely do this in DOA 6. You could buy like 1 or 2 costumes from the pack, I remember. Like, that was really cool, especially if you only play like 1 or 2 characters. You just want to buy 1 costume, save some money. That was an option. Maybe put that in DOA 7. Keep that option open. I've always felt like costume packs should never have been that much. You know, maybe drawing the line, maybe for like collaborations. They've had Attack on Titan collaborations previously. You know, they've had the Gust mashups before. They've had a lot of collaborations, specifically for DOA 5. But some of the costume packs should never have been that much money. They really shouldn't have. But yeah. This brings us to number 6, if I'm counting this correctly and keeping track. Unlockable content. Okay, this is good to pack. This is actually really good to piggyback off of DLC, because DLC, I think because of DLC, unlockable content is kind of like a dying art in video games, because everything is often just put into DLC form to make, you know, more money for companies and whatnot. But back in the day, we had to work hard for those costumes, okay? I remember replaying story mode or time attack mode constantly in DOA 2 Ultimate, and my biggest flex growing up was that I unlocked every single costume the old-fashioned way in DOA 2 Ultimate. You know, like Kusumi and Ayane, they each had like 20 costumes, and that was amazing. I love that. And it was all in-game. I didn't have to pay $1 for those back then, but that was my biggest flex. I need unlockable stuff in this game, okay? Whether that be characters or costumes. Give us some unlockables. I love unlockables. Please, we're trying to save some money while also trying to get some DLC here and there. Just don't make it the grind fest, the absolute horrendous grind fest that was completely random in DOA 6. Do you remember how awful it was unlocking costumes in DOA 6? I'm about to find out because I'm re-downloading DOA 6 on my PlayStation as we speak. But I hated it so much. Like, in a nutshell, like you had like two costumes unlocked for each character. And in order to unlock other costumes, they all had like this amount of tokens you need to unlock by playing different modes, but the tokens that you would get for playing these modes were so little, and they would go randomly to different costumes that like, you couldn't pick which costume to unlock. It was awful, stupid. I don't even know if I explained that properly, but it was never again. That was the worst way to unlock costumes. Please don't make it like that. Like I said, make other characters unlockable. Like I said, if you can't come up with a story for a character like Genfu or Leon or Ein, who is no longer Ein, make them unlockable and you don't have to put them in the story mode, for crying out loud. Hey, make a guest character unlockable. It wouldn't be the first time. Remember Spartan? Remember Spartan from DOA 4? Which, okay, that brought us to another topic, guest characters in DOA. Do I prefer actual DOA characters over guest characters? Always, but that might be another video. Guest characters for DOA 7, that might need to be a video. Let me know if you want me to do that video. That deserves its own video as opposed to this top 10 video. But anyways, moving on to top 5. In 5th place, we need multiple modes, multiple playable modes, okay? You know, other than online play, because like I said, not everyone plays online, so we just need more modes. Like, keep giving us survival mode, time attack, but girl, tag. Put tag back in there. Isn't it crazy that Dead or Alive basically had its own built-in Tekken tag tournament? It was always had the inclusion of tag mode until DOA 6 ruined it. Okay, there was no tag in the first DOA game, but DOA 6 took it away from us. Didn't it take away team battle? Maybe it didn't take away team battle, but tag was a huge way. Tag mode was just so much fun because sometimes you get burnt out playing single player mode for DOA, and I think DOA has always been a great game because it's an easy game to have multiple mains. So if you're having trouble picking a main for one match, pick both of your mains for tag. We want versatility. We want multiple modes in DOA 7. We want to see those tag throws. Those tag throws were insane in Dead or Alive. Okay, bring those back. I miss them. Some of them were ridiculous, but that's why we loved them. If you want to do something crazy and silly, similar to Tekken, when they have like Tekken Ball or Tekken Bowl, girl, give us a volleyball minigame mode. Like, give us a volleyball. Why not? It already exists. The assets exist, for crying out loud. Just put a little, like, we don't need them in swimsuits, but just like give us that little volleyball minigame. That would be super cute. Why not? Why not? Just put it in there. In 4th place, this is something that just needs to happen. There needs to be some sort of tribute to Itagaki. DOA 7 is going to be the first DOA game, not including DOA 6 last round, that Itagaki is no longer with us, who was the father of DOA, and to me always will be. You know, without him we wouldn't have the series as it is today, the series being resurrected. We wouldn't have it without him. We wouldn't. I just feel like we need to show our admiration, the celebration of this man responsible for the series. And, you know, it's always a shame that, you know, he was kind of done dirty from Koei Tecmo. But, you know, just show your gratitude and his contributions to the gaming industry. RIP. In 3rd place, I'm so ready. Like, this is kind of a given, but there needs to be redesigns for every character. Like, obviously everyone gets a redesign, but give us the classic costumes as well. as unlockables. DOA's always done that, but I want to see all of the reinventions, the redesigns of our favorite characters. Like, I'm already obsessed with the redesign teasing of Kasumi. We're bound to get some awesome new redesigns of our favorite DOA characters. New costumes was something that always got me so hyped for a new fighting game. I mean, Soul Calibur was probably the best at this with the reimaginings of their roster in each installment. Redesigns to me just establish a new era for a character, and I just feel like they're so important. Redesigns for characters just establish a new era for a fighter and creates a memorable impression for the latest entry. And we've seen this in the current day of fighting games such as Street Fighter 6 redesigning their characters, having a time skip post Street Fighter 3 for crying out loud, and, you know, obviously Tekken 8 with their redesigns for their characters. Of course, we still need those classic costumes. We need Hitomi's jean jacket. We need Kasumi's iconic classic blue robe. And of course, we would be nowhere if we didn't have Lei Feng's Chinese dresses. In second place, oh my gosh, we're already up. This video's almost done. In second place, no matter what, all characters need to return. Every single playable character, okay, minus, like, you know, licensed characters, minus the guest characters. You know, I would love for Mai to return, but all DOA characters need to return that have been playable. They need to in some shape or form. I would like to think that all the characters that are in DOA 6 are going to automatically be in DOA 7. They have all that they need right there. Like, the assets are right there, girl. I feel like it's just so possible to begin with too, because DOA's kind of always had kind of like a smaller intimate roster as opposed to, you know, like the big rosters of like Tekken and, you know, the eventual really big rosters of Street Fighter. That's something that's kind of annoyed me about Street Fighter recently. Their starting rosters are always so tiny. Like, I don't want to talk about Street Fighter 5. Remember how tiny the starting roster was for Street Fighter 5? I'm still not over it. And even the Street Fighter 6 roster, it was only like less than 20 characters, I believe. Anyway, like, DOA just always had, like, not a small roster, but, like, not a big roster. It just has always been, like, the right amount of characters. And like I said, I already said this earlier previously, if you can't think of a story for a character like Leon, make him DLC. Make him unlockable. Just don't put him in story mode. It's easy. Like, there's no way that there shouldn't be characters not returning. Because Ain, Genfu, and Leon were 3 characters that were not in DOA 6, unfortunately. Maybe they'll be put into last round. Who knows? That's always an option. Apparently, we're getting new characters for last round. But yeah, all characters in some shape or form in DOA 7, they need to return. They need to return. They have to. It's the bare minimum. But in first place, my number 1 must-have in DOA 7. It needs to have an amazing story mode. That story needs to go hard. I want it to be good, badass. I want like a main story mode, like a campaign, and then just have like an arcade mode where every character gets their own unlockable CGI ending. Like the best of both worlds. Because back in the day, before DOA 5 and 6, we only had the arcade story mode for each character. They would have like their little cutscenes. They'd have like 2 or 3 cutscenes, and they'd have their own personal ending. I want both. Give us both. Give us an ending and an actual like scenario campaign. The story needs to go the F off, okay? 6's story flopped for me. I actually really enjoyed 5's story because it was the first time every character was involved in the story, some more than others, but it gave everyone a chance to shine. Okay, maybe not Lisa or Christy because they didn't have playable sections and mainly functioned as antagonists and jobbers, but I still really enjoyed it. They just were kind of robbed of having their own playable sections. But I really enjoyed a more realistic and somewhat darker route in 5's story at that time. For me, it was probably, aside from maybe like DOA Dimensions, where things were kind of retconned, which I didn't really like, DOA 5's story mode was like the most expansive story yet. 6's story was just so abrupt, it felt so random, it felt unfinished, and was almost too comedic at times with Marie and Honoka, who took much of the spotlight from classic characters, which I get. Honoka and Marie are kind of like currently some of the most popular characters in Japan in the DOA series. But I also feel like as popular as they are, And if they're going to play big roles in story mode, they should be taken more seriously and tone down some of the comedy and give them actual decent storylines that would give fans a reason to really root for them. It's something that really shouldn't be that hard to do. We can still have those comedic tones with these characters. Have Marie Rose assist Honoka better by uncovering the secrets of her past with the use of Doatech and her connection to Helena. While we're at it, make Honoka less of an airhead and give her more of a motivation to become a better fighter. I've never liked Honoka's characterization personally, only because of her connection to Raido, who is a god-awful, terrible character who did terrible things in his past. So it's just weird her being like this airhead. It's just weird having her be like the silly comedic character when she has such a crazy connection to just a horrible character like Raido. I feel like Honoka really deserves more relatable qualities. Maybe after learning about her origins, have her be ashamed of her bloodline and make her prove to herself and others that she's more than her connection to her horrible biological father. Which, okay, that might be a very similar storyline. Like Jake Mueller from Resident Evil 6. But you know what? It's better than the little substance that she had in 6. Perhaps I should save these storyline ideas and concepts for another DOA 7 video. I would actually love to do that video if anyone is interested. I would love to unpack like each character and maybe come up and theorize, brainstorm some like storyline ideas and concepts for a DOA 7 for the roster of DOA. That would be really fun. Let me know if you want that. But these are just things that I would love to be incorporated into DOA 7 story. Like, have our characters have silly moments. DOA has always had comedic moments, but I want more serious, substantial roles for our roster, because I just feel like that's what they deserve. They really deserve, you know, a little bit more grit. Throw in some comedy here and there. But I want the story mode to go off. I want it to be badass. I want it to have crazy fight scenes, okay? These characters deserve the world. They deserve to have these incredible moments, and I just want the story mode to be like the best story mode in any DOA game. Because I always say this all the time, I love fighting games for playing them, obviously, but I've always been drawn to the lore and story, especially Dead or Alive. But friends, that about wraps up my top 10 must-haves for DOA 7. This is what I want to see. This is what we deserve. I hope I covered anything. I feel like I covered all of the must-haves. I say that and I probably missed out something, but you got to let me know what your must-haves are for DOA 7. But let me know, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know other DOA videos, like I said, that you want to see on this channel. Do you want the guest character list? Do you want the story idea concepts? Just get ready, friends. This is what we've been waiting for at DOA's future, the resurgence, the renaissance of the Dead or Alive series. This is what we've been fighting for dang near 7 years, and we are on the right track, baby. Like, comment, subscribe. I already said that. I love y'all so much, and until the next video, whatever it might be, thank y'all so much for being you and loving Dead or Alive. This is real Mugen Tension.